Family, thank you all for it is Thursday night. Thank you all for joining us. So for another exciting topic. So tonight's topic is how to
No,
not
that's the
oh,
question
I'm sorry.
from the
Seven
person.
subtle signs you're imitating your date and how to fix it.
and
Intimidating. I'm
yeah.
sorry. It's late. All this reading. Yep,
Yeah.
seven signs you're sorry about that. Seven signs you're intimidating your date and how to fix it. So let's go ahead and dive right on in, honey.
Yeah. So this is a great question that we received. We're going to go ahead and pull this on up. And that question was, oh, wait, let's minimize it. There we go. All right. So, young lady asked, how to not be intimidating. The message says, I've been told by a couple of people that they didn't approach me because I carry myself in a way where I don't want to be approached, or that I look intimidating despite me being beautiful. I've also been on dates where the guy says I make them nervous or intimidate them. I don't know what I'm doing that makes me come off intimidating. What can I do?
I I actually was told this before, in my younger days.
That you are intimidating?
Well, that I looked, I was, my look was unapproachable because
Mhm.
I looked very intimidating. I guess I walked around a lot, frown face, tight faced, so that people wouldn't mess with me. So that's what happens. That's what happens. But
Yeah.
and I was told this by a female.
Okay.
Um,
I think that's interesting because usually I don't really hear this.
about men.
Yeah, about men per se. I mean, of course, things like being aggressive or mean or
I wasn't.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I wasn't that. I don't think I was. It's just that when you're raised a certain way and you come from um don't have an example of especially a an example on how to be approachable.
Hmm.
You take it from what you've learned, and a
Yeah.
lot of my bringing up, I learned a lot from, of course, rap music, so and things and rap videos and stuff like that. And that's very typical of someone being born in the 80s, to be honest with you. So that was
Okay.
everyone, all the men, guys, young boys want to be the hardest person in the room, that that alpha male. So that's what I tried to be, and not knowing that that type of mentality for a lot of folks is very unapproachable, and you have to change and soften up a bit in order to be more social and more socially accepted, to be honest with you. So I'm not trying to
Yeah.
dig too deep into it, but
No. Yeah.
let's that's just my personal account, and those are things that I did and changed, and to be honest with you, you get better results out of people by being more approachable, more friendly and kind.
Yeah.
So that's just the bottom line.
Yeah. I guess my personal experience, since you shared yours, was kind of the opposite. I
Mm-hmm.
was raised. My mom did, like, we did debutantes, a lot of that. So the whole appearance for women was big, and that was something I learned etiquette as
Mm-hmm.
a very, very young age.
Right.
So that now was very easy when it came to being approachable by men, because that was something that I was just
Learn, you
immersed
talk.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite different, the very much the opposite. But being intimidating can mean a lot of different things for men. And really, this is, because what one man may see as intimidating, another man may see as attractive. So it just really depends on the type of guy it is. And I say that just to say certain things, like, well, we'll dig into some specifics for sure, but when confidence is, like, when a woman is really confident about herself, some men don't like that too much per se. And we'll dig deeper into this because I think this is a great question. But for some men, they actually like that, and they want
Who
a woman to be like that.
overly confident, like
Yeah,
a comp.
I've heard of some men like, I like a woman who is confident, but that, this is different men.
Well, the whole point of all of this, to be honest with you, is increasing your probability.
Yeah.
And you want to do whatever you can to increase your probability when it comes to dating. Being standoffish, off-putting, being very too overly confident, being very loud, being, almost obnoxious to that point.
Yeah.
Being real flashy, to be honest with you, is a turn off to a lot of people. To a lot of men and women.
Yeah.
So you may get attention, but it may not be the attention that you actually want. And men, contrary to, I think that men actually really want feminine women, not alpha females. To them, that a real man, I'm talking about a real man who's out here, 6-figure man, or either a construction worker man, or, a man, manly man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Type of man that doesn't mind getting his hands dirty, building a deck and busting bricks and all of that stuff, or either just a man who knows has a high business acumen, and all he does is work and make money.
Yeah,
I can't see that he would want to come home and enjoy a good alpha female after a hard day's work.
Unless he's like a beta male. Yeah, like you're saying.
Unless he's a yes man beta male.
The complete opposite.
Which may be more of those in our society, but I think traditionally a man really is looking for a feminine characteristics in a woman.
Yeah. So what does this look like? Well, one of the first things that came to mind when we got this question, I thought of appearance, of course. And this will certainly vary based on the man, because, it's just, that's so personal. But if you are bigger than a man, whether that be height or weight, that can come off as intimidating. Certainly if, in general, like my husband was kind of hinting at, men really do, they're more often attracted to women who are smaller than them or petite, because this does come off as feminine. It comes off as delicate. It can make a man feel more confident in being the protector, right? Because she's not like bigger than him and able to possibly beat him up or dominate him, So that can be a little intimidating, especially, but again, it really depends on the man. Some men like bigger women, whether that's height or weight. It just, especially if they're bigger themselves, so it just really will depend. This woman wasn't too specific when it came to her looks. Even a very beautiful woman who is very tall, this can be intimidating. So, I mean, it's not much that a woman can do per se, as far as her physicality in the sense of height.
Genetics,
genetic wise. Except
physical.
Maybe not wearing heels as much. But, again, that's up to you, because if you like wearing heels, we're not going to tell you to, not wear heels. That's a very feminine thing to wear heels. Right. So,
I mean, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman with those characteristics as long as she's feminine.
Yeah.
I've seen a video today of a man trying to holler at a girl who's taller than he is. So what he did was he got on a stool. And he got on the bottom rung of the stool, and he was talking to her, whispering to her in her ear and having conversation. She was entertaining them. Thought that was very interesting.
I think that's cute. And so more so it would be that direction, to go after men who aren't intimidated by that. And like that man, he didn't seem to be intimidated. In fact, he took on the challenge and worked around it.
Right. But that goes to show that the people that you may think of attracting aren't necessarily those people.
Yeah.
This guy was about a foot shorter than she was.
Wow.
And he took it upon himself because he wanted to really he was attracted to her. So he had to get to know. So the man in him took matters into his own hands and found the nearest stool that he could climb on, and got on the bottom rung and was whispering in her ear and talking to her. While another guy was just looking around her same height, and he was, making, he was covering ground with her. So he was getting somewhere. Yeah. So, I say that to say this, that I think it was more so her femininity that got him to approach her. And it showed. I mean, she was dressed, she had very short shorts on, and like a white t-shirt or something that she had on, but he still wanted to, get to know her.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Right. Yeah. So appearance will play a huge part in that, I think. The only other thing I can think of is if you are on the heavier side, maybe consider losing weight. That's again very personal. That's up to you if that's something you're wanting to take on. That is one certain way of coming off less intimidating if you're wanting to attract men who are, smaller and not, bigger men. So that's certainly one way to help. But again, that's all personal and based off of how you want to look. You can't tell you how you look, but
Right.
that's just the first one that came to mind for sure.
Yep, and then some facial expressions can come off as intimidating. Like I
Yeah.
said, I walked around when I was in my early 20s and teens with a tight face and looking like I was ready to fight everybody.
Yeah.
But not smiling can be a sign of coldness, indifference, and or disapproval. So this
Mhm.
can be especially intimidating if a man is looking for a woman who is warm and friendly.
Yeah, and it certainly makes you more approachable when you smile. I smile all the time. That's just my bubbly personality. Everywhere I go, grocery store, I have all types of people talking to me all the time because I'm smiling. So it's certainly comes off as being, more approachable, and even sometimes when I don't want, I'm just talking about regular people. Like I have old people just saying hey and stuff like that, just certainly because you're smiling and you're nice and friendly. And that is just a great way to spark up conversation or meet people or anything if that's something you wanting to do. So that's certainly a great facial expression to take on if that's not what you're doing.
Yep. And that was actually the advice I was told. Come to think of
Yeah,
it, just smile
yeah.
more.
That's a given. I feel like that's a big one, for all women. If you want to be approached, smile, certainly. So, also a blank direct gaze that can certainly be assertive. It can come off as assertive or even dominant, and that can really be intimidating for a man if he feels like you're challenging him or questioning him. That I'm talking about that blank stare, where you're just looking at them. That it's not as warm and friendly. So just be mindful of that, especially if you're on a date. It can show a lack of interest in for the date.
Right.
Sure.
Yep. And a raised eyebrow can be a sign of skepticism, disapproval, or even contempt. So this can be especially intimidating of a man if a man is trying to impress a woman.
Yeah, that looking at him like, what you talking about? Get out my face. It can come off it's off-putting. It is. It really, really is.
Stuck up.
Yeah. Or that pierced mouth, like that certainly is a sign of disapproval, disagreement.
Pursed mouth.
Even like anger. Maybe you're angry or something like that. That can be intimidating if a man wants you to if he wants to approach you and see if you're agree to go out on a date with him, he's a little less likely to be like, that you got to think about that. And that, not to cuss, but that resting bitch face that, some people think of having, you got to be kind of mindful of that if you actually want to be approached more and you want guys to come your way. You really don't want to come off like, I'm not interested at all.
And a clenched jaw. So that can be a sign of tension, stress, or aggression, of course. So this can be especially intimidating if a man is trying to have a calm, rational conversation with you.
Yeah. We always talk about being mindful of your facial expressions. That's certainly some things that will really help you. Like we said, smiling will show that you're, genuinely approachable, open to interaction. You also smile with your eyes, right? So don't be looking so mean with your eyes. Try to, smiles. What they call it? What is it called when you smile with your eyes? That whole modeling thing. Yeah, when you actually put your eyes into it, that really does help look like you're happy and you're genuinely interested in getting to know somebody. Another one that I often think about is like tilting your head. That was one thing that I remember growing up learning within like a cute etiquette course for like women. Like sometimes when you tilt your head, it really shows that you're listening and that you're interested, and it's really girly like to do that, and guys often really like that. Certainly leaning towards the guy when you're talking to them, that shows that you're really wanting to hear what they have to say and that you're actually wanting to be close to them. So that's a good body language signal that, hey, I'm liking this,
And then sometimes if a woman comes off too assertive, it is intimidating. Too assertive, too alpha female-ish. So this can include speaking in a loud or firm voice, using direct language, and interrupting others. This is what I was talking about in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So try being mindful of your manners, your mannerisms. Being kind and polite goes a long way.
Yeah, that's very common in a lot of conversation, especially if you're really wanting to get your point across, or you're really, um, engaged in the sense of you just gotta say what you want to say. You may be interrupting, all of that is just, yeah, it's kind of off-putting, and it can really be, intimidating, because it can come off really aggressive. So, try to avoid doing things like that, so you're not coming off too aggressive.
Yeah, and then also too, women who are very intelligent and competent can also be intimidating to men who feel threatened by their intellectual abilities.
Yeah.
Should not be, though. Real man
Shouldn't.
should not be. So some men see intelligence as a sign of threat or competition.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can do about that except socialize with people who are of the same intelligence as you, of course.
Yeah.
Especially if that person is acting negative towards you. You don't want to hang around people like that. So.
Yeah. But some men don't, want their woman to know, unfortunately. Well,
I don't know about that.
I wouldn't want that. Yeah, I wouldn't. But surprisingly, I have heard it. Where they'd be like, that's to me the cavemanish mindset of, oh, sit down, shut up, don't say nothing, type stuff. But you should want your woman to be intelligent. You should want her to be competent. Certainly, if you want her on your team to help you progress.
I think it's the opposite. I think men want their woman to be quiet if she's not intelligent.
Right.
Not to make a fool out of them when they're in public. Vice versa too for men. If the man isn't as intelligent either. So
yeah, certainly. So if you're very smart, and you just so happen to be on a date with a guy who isn't as smart, then it's just the guy isn't compatible with you. You
can elevate him.
Yeah.
Y'all
but
read
if
books
he's
together
open
and talk
to
about
it, if he's open to it, you would hope.
Right. Well, I mean, if the chemistry is there, and other than your IQ and intelligence, there's things that you all can do to make that work. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure. That is so true. Also, sometimes, believe it or not, if a woman has a lot of ambition and drive, this can sometimes be intimidating for a man, especially if this woman is in a position of power, or if he is insecure, again, like kind of piggybacks right off of the intelligence things. If he's insecure about not being exactly where he wants to be, sometimes that can come off as intimidating. So especially, I guess, the wording of how the woman displays her ambition. So for example, being mindful of the words when you're talking about the things that you have achieved. Like, instead of saying things like, oh, I'm the best at what I do, you can scale it back a bit and be like, oh, I'm proud of what I've accomplished in my life. One sounds a little more softer than the other, believe it or not. And it can come off less intimidating, especially if you've, accomplished a lot. And you should be proud of that. That's nothing to be, I guess, embarrassed about or wanting to dim down. Certainly not. But, just being mindful of how you're coming across.
Yep. And avoid coming across as a know-it-all.
Yeah.
By showing that you are willing to learn from others.
Yeah.
So avoid coming off too competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be seen as being willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
So this can include being ruthless, underhanded, or manipulative.
Yeah.
Definitely not manipulative.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be manipulated.
Yeah. Avoid that for sure. And then I think of, because sometimes when a woman has accomplished a lot of things, she can come off like, oh, I know this. Or, a man wants the woman
That's a jerk.
Yeah.
Coming off as a jerk.
Yeah. The man wants the woman to, be able to learn some things from him, or even have the willingness to take his lead. If you're just showing like, oh, I've accomplished all of this and I ain't got, I know it, I know what I'm doing, that could be very intimidating and off-putting. So yeah.
And then be mindful of body language. So avoid making aggressive gestures such as pointing or pounding your fists. And of course, being respectful of others, even those who are less experienced or successful.
Yeah. So like if you are super successful in your career, like again, kind of going on the position of power, if you're like a CEO at 28 years old, right? Don't come off disrespectful to a man who may have not reached that point of his life and is not maybe experienced as you. Even if y'all are in the same field, it can really, be intimidating and come off aggressive and not as a team player, because what you want, even if you have accomplished so much, you want to come off as, hey, I got all of this and this is a great asset that I can bring to the team. So approaching it in a way that shows, hey, I'm respectful of where you're at. I don't feel like I'm better than you. I'm not trying to come off as being better than you. All of this will help scale it back to where you're not so much intimidating, but more so just highlighting your good qualities. That's really the whole idea.
Yep. So coming off too independent or self-sufficient can be intimidating to men who are used to women who are reliant on them.
Yeah.
Especially if the woman wants to be the provider.
The man.
Especially if the man wants to be the provider and protector in the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a leading quality.
Mm-hmm.
Quality of leadership. Usually men want to be those.
Yeah. And this woman didn't quite say her age. So maybe I think of if you are older and you have, had to become independent, right? That's what all grown-ups got to do. You got to take care of yourself, right? So that is something that is very much necessary. And we're not saying to, dim this down or anything like that, but you certainly can show your independence as an asset by coming off more as, willing to compromise, willing to help, being, again, a team player, being supportive, being respectful in your communication. All of this just portrays you as, sure, I have a lot, I'm very independent, I'm very self-sufficient, but I am willing to come into a relationship and work with a man as a team player, not just, trying to take the lead so much or wanting to be in the lead so much. This can be kind of hard too, especially if you have been single for a long time and you're used to making decisions. Sometimes if you're a little reluctant to, make the final decision, sometimes that can help you not be as intimidating because you're showing the guy that, hey, I'm willing to allow you to make this decision, although, I'm fully able to do so. I want you to, take on this leadership role. That's important if you want your man to be the leader, for sure. And some men, though, if they don't want to, then
not only that, it goes back to increasing your probability of getting a man as well.
Yeah.
Because naturally men like to lead relationships and love and the, like I said, the relationship. So if, women who are out there, so make sure you are understanding that. So don't be too aggressive. Don't be too overbearing in your conversations, and don't be too dominant in the relationship as well.
Yeah. And even with like money, sometimes trying to not be so picky as far as, the things that you have to have, like luxurious items or luxurious dates or luxurious, all this stuff. Like sometimes being okay with allowing the man to take you on a date in a certain other location that may not be, your first pick. But this allows you to show, hey, I'm willing to, let you lead and let you do this. And I'm down to do it with you. That's certainly so much better. My husband's over here messing with me.
No, I'm not.
Anyways.
And then lastly, sometimes when a woman is intense and passionate, it can be perceived as intimidating by those who are more laid back or reserved. So this is because intensity can be seen as a sign of emotional instability or volatility.
Yeah.
So this can be especially true if they express their emotions in a way that is seen as confrontational or threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Or if a woman is really open about their desires, taking the lead in sexual encounters or being sexually dominant.
Yeah, that's a big one. That could certainly be intimidating, especially, if the man is more laid back.
I don't know about that, though. Yeah, if he's more laid back, but I mean, a man likes a woman to be sexual, of course. And sometimes, like, they got spontaneous.
Yeah. In a relationship, though, I don't know so much. I don't know. To me, it's not
all the time. I mean, not all the time.
Not if you're, on a date. Like your first date or something like that, like coming right out talking about, sex, or coming out.
That'll probably be last a couple of times. You probably get a couple of dates in, but that's and that's not a women who are so sexually forward during dates. Often at times they have to go on multiple dates in order to find a man.
Yeah.
And that's because that men normally put them in the fun box. Because if you've done this with me, who else have you done this with?
Yeah.
And then we know that. So that's that's the main focus. Then our attention stops trying to wife you and then starts to trying to turn you into a booty call every other night, to be honest with you. So don't be too strongly sexual or too forward, when it comes to sex so early in a relationship.
Yeah. And on the other side, the intensity with that.
You'll get stuck in that friend box or the booty call box, the booty box. You get stuck there.
But that's certainly, it can come off intimidating, but also too, like the intensity of your emotions. So if you're out on a date and you snap off because the waiter, gave you the wrong, order or something like that, like that, and like my husband said, the emotional instability can be very intimidating, where guys like, wow, can she control her emotions? Like, is she going to be like this all the time? Is it, I got to walk on eggshells because I never know how she's going to react, or, can I even take her to certain places without being worried about whether or not she's going to,
like Cheesecake Factory.
Snap off. But all of this, just being a good thing is to be mindful of your tone, right? So choosing your words more carefully, being more aware of when something is appropriate, when it's, not. All of this can help you come off, less intimidating, less intense. There's certainly a great level of emotional intelligence that's going to have to go along with this. So being able to know, like, this is not the time to snap off, even though I'm really upset about something. This is not the time to get upset about stuff. A lot of that having that control plays a big, big part in, whether or not a guy would really be interested in making you his wife. So I think those are mainly what we thought about the top 7 for the most part, unless you could think about anything else as far as intimidating.
No, I think we said it all, to be honest with you. I think that was it. Just be, this is perfect information, a blueprint for women who may be seen as alpha type in public or at work, or trying to, and they themselves are trying to get into the dating field and having to be more reserved and more feminine in their nature. Yeah. So this is definitely great advice for those women to, like I said, increase their probability on finding a husband. Ultimately, that's the reason why we're dating, is to find a spouse that we can share the rest of our lives with, and not having to endure multiple divorces and things of that nature, splits and breakups and separations and all that jazz. Yeah. So that's what our main focus, to be honest with you, is to prevent divorces and to bring more relationships and having people to believe that there is a person out there for them. So we're trying to help you to go out and find that person, increase your probability of finding a match. Yeah. And then having children and creating a better society and community that goes along with that. So
yeah, that's so true. And of course, wifeconomics.com is a great resource for that. If you certainly want to learn how to really be a feminine asset. So really how to show your femininity in a way that a man will pick up on as, wow, I could really benefit from having her on my team and working together. So, and you certainly will be more apt to attract a masculine man if you are less masculine yourself. So, just being mindful, all the women that are the go-getters, you go out there and you work hard, you do all these great things. That's perfect. But, being mindful.
I know one thing we missed since you said that.
What?
The way you dress.
Yeah.
So the way that you dress, whether some women don't want to hear this or not, but the way that you dress is an indication on how a man will treat you, or his intentions are for you. Believe it or not. So that's the reason why that's the reason why I say that the last place you need to look for someone is in a bar or a club or nightclub, because women, like to wear very revealing clothing. And a real man will look at that and be like, I am not going to marry her, but I would love to have fun with her, and then keep her in that fun box. That's that type of stuff that goes on. And I don't know if you all know anybody who found a husband or a wife at a nightclub. Please let me know. Comment in the comment section and say that it worked out for them, because that's probably by far the last place you will go. But this is probably the first place where you'll find a description of a female that fit these characteristics, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because that's where they hang out at.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
it probably is. So guys out there, don't look for love in the club, because it ain't there. Your probability of
certainly.
finding a wife is very slim to none.
Yeah.
But you probably can figure out which female in that club is wife material, depending on the way that she dressed.
Yeah.
If all the women are wearing freakum dresses and all that other stuff, then more than likely she ain't the one. But if you find a female in there who's dressed very conservatively and she's not drunk all over the place and loud, obnoxious, she's probably quiet, you know, she might be the one for you, to be honest with you. But she may not be the most attractive female in that place. I'll tell you that. But,
yeah,
but
I think
she'll probably know how
appearance
to
could
cook
be
for you and make
intimidating like that too,
right, and take
especially
care.
for the nice guy.
Right. Right. I mean, but any guy.
Well, I say the nice guy in particular, like if he is not so much wanting a woman who is dressed provocatively, and if you are dressed provocatively, then it can be intimidating if he was to even like your look, like your face or whatever, you know, and want to approach you. He can be like, you know, it's kind of too much, especially if you're getting a lot of attention or whatever, you know, that could really make a man feel uncomfortable. So being mindful of stuff like that. I think of like dressing like in dresses and stuff. Yeah, again, that's a very particular to the guy, you know, because some men don't really care so much about whether or not a woman wears dresses or whatnot, but that can be very, you know, more approachable for a man if he's wanting, you know, a girly girl or a girl who is very feminine. So being mindful of wearing more dresses, or even if you're like a businesswoman, right, instead of opting for pantsuits, maybe opt for, you know, skirt suits or, you know, more business dresses and stuff
Yeah,
like
don't
that.
wear no pantsuit to the club either. That ain't gonna get you
You
picked.
still well, I'm thinking outside the club too, but there are ways, you know, to be a little more approachable in that sense. It really is, you know, this is a great question, I think, for, because I've heard it before, you know, and some people say, you know, guys think I'm intimidating or they're intimidated by me. But, you know, it, again, when it comes to things like we talked about the career or like your a bit ambitions or your drive, that would really just depend on the man himself and if he is secure within himself. And also, too, if you can display it in a way that's not so uncomfortable, not so much, you know, off-puttish, intimidating, you know, that will certainly help you a long way. And the guy will see you in more as an asset, and the sense of, you know, I could utilize her on my team because she's very smart. She has a lot of things going for her versus, you know, she's a know-it-all.
Yeah. Not the team, though.
What do you mean?
You mean by your side?
Yeah, by your side. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, a guy think a team, you know, we think of Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah. Wrong choice of words.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. If you get what she's saying.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been a busy week for us.
We closed on an investment property.
Oh, so busy
we got
for
an
us.
Investment property for a great price this week. So we talked about finances before, but if you all want to hear more about how to maintain wealth, especially if you own a home, let us know. Say that you want to hear more about stuff like that, and we can dig up some information for you as far as building generational wealth. We did a show about that before.
Yeah, we haven't done one in a while, though. I think that's a good one to get back into.
Yeah, we got a lot of responses and dialogue with that as well.
Yeah.
So,
and you need that family unit in order to have generational wealth. So that's really why we push families.
Right. And also you need to own a home too. I mean, that's getting harder for people. I'm just glad we made it. We bought a home and able to have buy more homes with that one home. So it is a thing. You know, you may hear it on the radio that you can buy. Did you know that you don't need money to buy a house and buy another house? And if you have home equity and all this stuff, you don't have to refinance either. So with these horrible interest rates that are out here. So if y'all want to hear more about that, just let us know, and we can walk and talk you all, guide you all through that. You can schedule a consultation with us, and I'll let you know all the secrets that we know about that as well on building generational wealth. But with that being said, do you all
Yeah.
have any additional questions and
Yeah.
concerns, conundrums, problems?
Tomorrow we are going to have to cancel the show again tomorrow, though, just heads up. So we usually be on it Monday through Friday, but this week again has been super busy. We got a lot of things going on, so we were going to have to cancel tomorrow, but
So
we'll
no Marriage Fit Friday.
Yeah, no Marriage Fit Friday, but we'll be back at it on Monday with some great topics. And we really appreciate all the support we've been getting. Our YouTube is growing, picking up traction. We're glad about that. Instagram, as always, we love y'all. Y'all show out and come through for us. So thank you all for joining us again. And if you have any other topics that you want us to talk about, anything, relationship wise, feel free, send your questions. We're certainly here for this. Any advice, we got a lot of different relationship topics. So I think we have a couple more questions to get into for next week. So be on the lookout for that. But if you have your questions, please send them in. Don't be shy.
Yep. And with that being said, Blueprint family, you all have a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend as well. So peace.